Tonight, majority and minority leaders clash over impending Assin North by-election. On the day, the constituency was swarmed by an army of MPP and NDC executives. We tell you why the minority side is raising red flags over the Electoral Commission's plan for the polls.
We are urging the IGP and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to ensure that the by-elections are free, fair, and incident-free, just like the NDC primaries. We do not want and cannot afford another Ayawaso West wagon incident.
But the majority leader will have none of that, insisting the NDC has no right to speak about violence during the by-election.
If you're talking about the most violent by-election that we have had in this country, it was at Tripoli when 7 people were shot at point blank by an operative from the castle. You have the courage to talk about violence in by-election. Don't go there.
Plus, the project commissioning spree, the MPP says, is about to begin in the Assin North constituency ahead of the polls.
When you go to Assin Kusha, it is being tarred. Can we just in 2-3 days tar a road?
Asphalt relay?
No, not relay.
This is completely doing
completely,
the road
yes.
From scratch?
Yes, from scratch. So it's not asphalt relay. So please, get your nomenclature well.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Tonight, Parliament just resumed, and already there is a clash. The majority and minority leaders have been trading words over the impending Assin North by-election on the day the constituency was swarmed by an army of MPP and NDC executives. The minority leader, Dr. Kyei Ato Forson, who himself is heading to the Assin North constituency to join his colleagues there as the campaign gets underway, says the Electoral Commission must act as a truly independent constitutional body in its organization of the upcoming by-election and not as an appendage of the MPP. The minority leader also tasked the IGP to ensure an orderly and violence-free elections. The minority leader says he and his colleagues will not stand for a repetition of what happened in that violent-riddled the Ayawaso by-election years back. Now, he was delivering his opening remarks when the House resumed from its 2-month break.
We are urging the IGP and the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to ensure that the by-elections are free, fair, and incident-free, just like the NDC primaries. We do not want and cannot afford another Ayawaso West wagon incident. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we are yet to overcome the plot in our democratic governance arising from the unprecedented violence meted out to innocent civilians by the party packs in uniform at Ayawaso West wagon. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, we wish and say that the Electoral Commission and the chairperson of the EC must demonstrate her neutrality as an unbiased umpire, and the IGP must prove to the people of Ghana that indeed he is responsible for the domestic security of our country.
Well, the majority leader, who also addressed the resumption of Parliament today, will not have none of that, insisting the NDC has no right to speak about violence during by-elections.
We have had a by-election at Kumaru, and it was very peaceful, as I just recently alluded to. One hopes that the Assin North by-election will follow the same trajectory. But again, for my colleague to send us back and say that we should not allow what happened at Ayawaso West to happen again in the next by-election, to me, I think is not a statement that ought to have been made. Because if you're talking about the most violent by-election that we have had in this country, it was at Tripoli when 7 people were shot at point blank by an operative from the castle. You have the courage to talk about violence in by-elections. Don't go there, my colleague. You are a newly baptized minority leader. You have not been confirmed yet as the minority leader. The bishop is waiting to confirm you.
Let's go to Parliament now, and parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante is on the line with me. Kweku, we know today, and many of the leaders in Parliament themselves have indicated that they will be heading to Assin North today, but already Thursday, and Assin North is back on the agenda, dividing the House.
Indeed, exactly, Evans. That was just after the Kumewu MP was sworn in on the back of the by-election that was also held just a few weeks back. And what triggered this was the minority leader coming back strongly and insisting that their side are very much aware of certain plots that have been undertaken by the Electoral Commission, alleging that certain things may happen which could lead the country to go back to the days of the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. It generated considerable heat in the House. You could see members on both sides of the aisle shouting and making gestures in terms of how intense this election is going to be. The Assin North by-election is very pivotal compared to that of Kumewu. This could potentially tilt the power, the balance of powers in Parliament. If the NPP side wins this, it means that they've cemented their majority status in Parliament with at least 2 over their colleagues in the NDC. The NDC minority really want to hold on and to be able to close in on government and be able to say that we have the same number of MPs as the governing party. And that is how this is so crucial. And so at each and every point in today's sitting, both leaders did not fail to capitalize on that. Indeed, the Speaker himself had been speaking about a judgment of the Supreme Court, questioning how they were going to implement the order of the court to strike out James Kweson's name from all the records of Parliament. But insistently, if you look at what the minority leader himself has been saying, right from the morning where they held the press conference, clearly they are in for a battle. And he himself is leading a crack team of NDC MPs from Parliament this evening to go to Assin North to begin campaign activities right from this very evening up until 27th when the election is scheduled to happen.
I see, and earlier today there was a press conference on a related matter of the Supreme Court judgment that created the space for this by-election. And Mahama Yariga did not hold back in slamming the Supreme Court for its judgment in this Jachi Kweson case.
Indeed, according to Mahama Yariga, the court, which will be a court which interprets the Constitution, rather set out to rewrite the Constitution. He says that the court's judgment was clearly per incuriam. It was against the Constitution and the kinds of laws that the country has especially set out to deal with such matters. He was not excited at all with how the court ruled on the matter.
If even we admit that there should be some housekeeping matters at the point of filing nomination papers, that should be the appropriate province of legislation and not judicial enactment. What they did was to enact laws, the Supreme Court, not to interpret the text of the Constitution of Ghana. James Jachi Kweson is gearing up to contest the by-election in Assin North, which has been brought about by the Supreme Court's decision. In that regard, we, the members of the Appointments Committee representing the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will not withhold our approval of the Chief Justice nominee by consensus. We will not withhold our approval of her by consensus. Her CV reveals a person of considerable experience, having served as a judge from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and ultimately at the Supreme Court. Women who have acquitted themselves should be given opportunities to occupy key national offices. Even as we disagree with her jurisprudence, we find her qualified to occupy the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
And quick update on this aspect of this conversation. Has Parliament indicated when exactly the report from the Appointments Committee will be considered?
The committee report has now been laid by the chairman of the committee, Joseph Osei-Wusu. The expectation generally was that the report will be debated today and a vote taken. We know that Acting Chief Justice Jones Duche is heading out on retirement, which means that if a new Chief Justice is not confirmed in time, the Acting Chief Justice baton will now go over to the next senior most justice of the Supreme Court, which will now be Justice Paul Bafo-Boni. And so they are racing against time to do that. But all indication that they were going to do that today failed, which indicates that maybe tomorrow or Thursday that decision will be taken. But also some signals we are picking is that there was some sort of agreement that the minority leader and some NDC MPs would have to leave Accra early enough to be able to reach Assin North for the NDC campaign activities and other things that they have scheduled for that. And so it was not going to, because this arrangement, if the debate was going to take place, it could drag on into the night. That decision was to shelve it up until tomorrow or the day after that. And so because of that, the report has now been laid. The Speaker has directed that members should have copies of the report, but it's set to be debated either tomorrow or on Thursday, when the minority leadership have been able to bring all their members who would have gone to Assin North to campaign back to Accra. But as we know now, because of the consensus decision, the NDC MPs do not even need to have all their members in chamber, because it's just going to be a voice vote, and all sides are clearly seeing that the nominee is qualified to be the Chief Justice.
Okay, and thank you very much. Kweku talks about how the leaders have indicated that all of them, indeed, they will be heading to the Assin North constituency tonight as part of this desire to win the by-elections there. And it starts tomorrow with the MPP's primaries to elect a parliamentary candidate who they'll field in this particular by-election. But ahead of that tonight, we've been speaking to the party's hierarchy and hearing specifically from the national organizer of the MPP, Henry Nanabuache, who has been indicating to us that the party is planning a project commissioning spree in the Assin North constituency, starting with a 32-kilometer road the president himself will be commissioning, and then 120 other projects will also be commissioned ahead of the by-elections.
If you look at the emergence of this development that is going on right now.
When you enter from Praso into Ashanti region, from Praso to Asempaneye, to Dansame, to Bresiakon, to Breku itself, to Nyaso, to Akomfode, to Anya, straight to Brofuyedu, right? Assin Yankomase, moving into Asimfusu, the 32-kilometer road. So can you just do roads in just 2-3 days? Beautiful road, solid road, finished. The president is due to commission it in the next week. Now, do you know what we are going to do in Assin North now?
So you all of a sudden going to commission this road?
Because we are not going to do shortcutting.
My colleagues drove on it, but we are going to pitch camp there. But this road has been done for a while now.
No, they are not finishing it. So that is why I'm saying that we are not going to do shortcutting in Assin North. We are going to do commissioning of projects. Look, when you consider the interventions we've done in the education sector, the sanitation sector, markets, energy, communication, health, roads, we have close to 120 solid projects.
Already completed?
Oh, already completed. And you see, I've started doing something, and I know a lot of people have been following me on social media. Those on the grounds, if you're on the ground, come and then let's see. You go to Assin, Bregu as I speak. Their roads are 80% complete. You don't start roads in just 2-3 weeks.
80% complete?
Yes.
Will you complete then?
We have, when you go to Assin Kushia, it is being tarred. Can you just in 2-3 days tar a road?
Oh, but you can't.
No, how?
I've left home
2 days
and returned, and the road that I left untarred was tarred before.
You mean covert, that you can do covert in 2 days? You can do all the drains in 2 days?
Asphalt relay?
No, not relay.
This is completely
yes.
From scratch?
Yes, from scratch. So it's not asphalt relay. So please, get your nomenclature well. It is not asphalt relay, right? So when they come there, they will see it. In Assin Breku itself, we've completed very beautiful astroturf for the youth, because it's a town made up of a lot of young persons.
By the way.
So you know what is going to happen? What is going to happen is that there's not going to be shortcutting. It's going to be commissioned. These are projects we've done already.
So how many projects are you commissioning?
That is why I'm saying that in all the projects, in all the interventions we've done are 112.
Are you going to commission all of them?
Oh, some will be done by the local.
But these projects you've already finished and completed.
Yeah, His Excellency the President, for the 32-kilometer road, His Excellency the President is going to commission.
And then who else is going to be commissioning what?
I mean, we have the DC is there. The next MP who is going to be an MPP MP will continue on with the commissioning.
I want to take you to the constituency now. My colleague, Kojo Nyako, has been following closely developments there, and he joins me in the studio now. Kojo, so we've seen the videos and the pictures based on your reporting from this constituency. What do we know as far as these projects are concerned? Projects happening right now ahead of the by-election.
Also, there are a number of projects that are currently ongoing in the constituency. Drainage system. There is also some asphalt overlay. You see some earth-moving equipment, some machines that are used for road construction, and they talk about AstroTurf. Yes, indeed, it's almost done. I don't know whether it's done, and so it could be commissioned any moment from now. So there are a lot of projects that are ongoing. You know, this Assin North constituency is very huge. It's very, very big. It was carved carved out of the bigger Assin North constituency, where Kennedy Japan chose or went to the Assin Central constituency. So we'll talk about Assin Kushia, Dansame, Brofiedru, Assin Praso. You know, this constituency shares boundary with Katie Hamon's constituency. It also shares boundary with Chifu Praso, and then the Assin Central constituency. So it's very, very big.
I see. And I wonder what the reaction has been in the constituency to this flurry of activity development projects coming to them. They're seeing it, 100 plus of them.
Yeah, so indeed they indicate that everyone loves development, but they are amazed at the speed of light with which these constructions are going on. They have been interacting, saying that, well, a lot of the project that they are talking about, they stalled immediately after the 2020 elections. And so we've been speaking with some of the residents in the constituency.
If you look at the emergence of this development that is going on right now, you cannot see anything but to attribute it to the by-election. I've lived in this constituency, specifically as in Breku here, where you are seeing this development going on. And in 2020, or prior to the 2020 election, we had this same, contractor come on site with his machines. And just after the 2020 election, when the then MP, Honorable Kyei Mensah, who was on the ticket of the MPP, lost the election, we never saw these machines again. So you cannot tell me that it is not for this by-election that these machines has come back to site, but then attribute it to the by-election.
Yeah, almost started actually, but I think say na contractor ni ha, and almost stop pay. But meaning at the property, be as a fain na when you find or was saying back say or baby age money there, I don't know.
A coin way, a comu coin or market so solid 5 times. Our 2020 contractor now, oye a crown of crown. Once the crown or and fair man.
So you heard a resident there, so they are explaining that a lot of the projects stalled immediately after the 2020 elections. Some of the projects have witnessed some 5 short-cutting activities or events, and so that is what they are saying. But they attribute it to the by-election. That is why they see a lot of these activities or projects ongoing.
Let's talk about what's going to happen tomorrow. One, we know the MPP will be holding its primaries there. 2 people have put themselves up to contest, but James Achikwesi himself, has he entered the constituency yet following his troubles with the courts?
Yes, so today he was given a rousing welcome in the constituency by party supporters. In fact, they danced to brass band music and there was a walk. So they walked with him for about 2 miles, and this is ahead of his campaign launch tomorrow. And so tomorrow we are going to witness 2 major activities. One, the MPP primaries to elect a candidate that will face off with James Achikwesi, and James Achikwesi himself, having been declared by the party as their sole candidate to contest that constituency by-election, would also be launching his campaign. And there are a lot of the NDC bigwigs that have stormed the constituency already campaigning to win the hearts and minds of the people in the constituency, while the MPP bigwigs, the ministers of state, the members of parliament, other DCs in other adjoining constituencies, they've also gone to the Assin North constituency to lend their support. So this is like a do or die affair. You heard Kweku Asante speaking about the fact that should any of them win, the dynamics will bring in parliament.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Kojo Nyako. And Kojo Nyako will be pitching campaign Assin North, bringing you the very latest from there because of the activity we're anticipating from tomorrow, getting into the by-election on the 27th. And as you've just heard him explain, tomorrow the MPP will be holding its primary there. Now, one of the individuals expected to contest and widely tipped to win the MPP's primary as they elect their candidate, Charles Opoku. And it's the same individual about whom the NDC complained and raised an alarm, alleging that there's a plot to transfer his votes there illegally. Well, we've learned yesterday from the party that indeed it's true. He really hasn't got a vote in that particular constituency. His vote is elsewhere. And of course, the law currently will not allow him to transfer his votes there. But the party says they still back him if he wins. They vetted him. They know that he still hasn't got a vote there, but they still believe if he wins tomorrow's primary, he should run. He won't vote for himself in the by-election. But the party says, well, that's what happened in Kumewu when they won it with significant margins with a candidate who also didn't have a vote in that particular elections. Listen to the national organizer.
They are in cahoots with us to transfer the vote of the man. And we are saying that we've never done so. Look, in Kumewu, we presented a candidate who was in a similar situation, right? And Mr. Nim was not a voter there, but he hails from Bodomase. He came and then he won, and he even increased our vote.
So the Kumewu candidate who won the by-elections for you.
So this is not the first time, yes.
So this just passed by-election.
Exactly.
He didn't vote for himself?
No, that is it. He did not vote.
Okay. But he won the election.
He won the elections.
I didn't know this. That's an interesting revelation.
Yes, he won the elections. I mean, and that is not the only time. We've had this scenario a couple of times.
So you lose one vote.
You can make.
You will lose one vote.
Oh, if we lose one vote, you are going to win with 1,500 votes, because that is what is going to happen.
That's Henry Naboachi. There's a national organizer of the MPP. I want to bring in now Mustafa Gbande, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Also joining me is the head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana, Dr. Ali Dusedu. Mr. Gbande, thanks for your time here on Top Story. Are you in Assin North yet?
I'll get to Assin North tomorrow morning, God willing. I'll come back to Accra for another assignment.
It appears almost everybody in your party, from Parliament and executives, everybody's heading there. Is it because of the official launch of the campaign?
Well, Evans, you agree that we are in opposition, and the situation is a member of Parliament. You know, he has relationships in Parliament, and he has become also the sole candidate of the party. And so, directly announced that you have friends of the situation from Parliament, you have parties leadership, because it is more or less a national election we are going in Assin North. So that is what informs the number of people who will be trooping into Assin North. Again, we are also dealing with a government that is not working, clearly. You've heard from what the respondents from the various places have said, that government have not, finished projects that it has started since 2020. And suddenly, you've seen how resources have been mobilized into Assin North by government. And so because of that, and because of the gravity we place on Assin North, because should we lose the seat, it has the tendency to restructure Parliament, which will loosen the natural checks and balance that have been placed on this government through a hung Parliament. And so Assin North is a national interest prone election, and we are determined to defend the holding of the seat.
Stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Ali Dusedu, who joins us now. Dr. Ali Dusedu, thanks for your time here on Top Story. I want to raise the issue that the national organizer of the MPP confirmed, that one of the aspiring parliamentary candidates who will be contesting in the internal primaries tomorrow in Assin North hasn't got a vote in Assin North. But he says that's what happened in Kumewu. The individual who eventually stood for them in that by-election won. So this is no problem at all if this gentleman, Charles Opoku, also wins tomorrow, and is widely tipped to win, by the way. Do you share the view of the NDC? And NDC have raised this, that it raises questions about his legitimacy there and his allegiance.
Okay, so I think at a very critical time in Parliament, like what we have, the most important thing is winning the seat as a party, as long as you are not breaching the electoral laws. So if the laws are not being breached, it is the people in Assin North who will determine whether they are being shortchanged by the party by bringing somebody who doesn't vote in that constituency to contest and lead their interests in the House of the Legislature. If the MPP as a party don't see anything wrong with it because it doesn't breach any electoral law, and the people in Assin North also think that regardless of the fact that he doesn't have a vote in our constituency, is able to perform better than any other candidate that the MPP can produce, and they decide to vote for him, then that works best for them, because the idea is winning the seat and then increasing their number in the House of the Legislature. But some people may also feel worried that it happened in Kumewu is happening in Assin North. So are we going to continue to pick people who are popular or who can garner the support of the party because it's by-election? All the state machinery will be at Assin North. Are we going to keep selecting people like that, and not people who have votes in the constituency, who have worked to better the lives of the people in the constituency, who have struggled with the people in the constituency to make life better for them? We completely ignore them and transport people to come and win the seat. So that raises legitimate questions for the voters at Assin North. But if they think there's nothing wrong with it, just like it happened in Kumewu, and they can entrust their destiny into his hands, then that is all about winning the seat for the party, and that's what the party was. But I think moving forward, the party, not just the MPP, political parties should be able to groom people who are well known and well respected and in a specific constituency, and people can relate to them and go to them when there are issues to stand for those particular seats in those constituencies and win it for them. If we begin to introduce this element into it, people can just, especially when it's a by-election, all the support comes to you. But when it's a national election, people may consider other variables, including how long you've been in that constituency, how supportive you have been in that constituency, how active you have been in party business and in party affairs in that particular constituency. Because those things create a lot of legitimacy for the candidate. But if it's an outsider and the people can relate very well to him, and simple maybe is the one who can win the seat for the party brings him there. The people in that particular constituency, or people who have suffered and worked in the trenches over the years to build the party in that constituency, will feel betrayed. And move for everybody not think that, I wouldn't put so much effort and invest into running the affairs of the constituency. Then somewhere, somehow, they'll go and bring somebody to come and win the seat for the party. So in rational electoral terms, the MPP needs to win the seat at all costs. And what they are doing, it doesn't breach any electoral laws. And that's what's going to help them win the seat. Then it's good to do that.
Yeah, I mean, fascinating time ahead indeed in Assin North. Thank you very much, Professor Ali Duseidu, who heads the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. Thank you very much, Mustafa Gbanu, who is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. News Night in a minute.
Ever visit